Hey, everybody. This is James, Empty Pockets Podcast. It's my first time doing this on the Rumble platform studio. So if there's errors here today, it's because I don't know what the hell I'm doing because I'm brand new at this on this platform. Saying that, I've got a couple of new things I want to talk about and a couple of things that I've mentioned in other live streams that may not have been on this particular platform. So you may not have seen what I've talked about or one in particular video that I'm going to play again because I think it deserves to be played again and again to keep everybody reminded of what we're up against. Because I've said it starting 2 days ago. Sitting on the sidelines, those days are over with. We got to push back. They've poked the bear. It's time to poke back. They've got a lot of these protests scheduled all across the country. There's a list. If you Google it, there's actually a list of cities that they're going to be doing it in, so you'll know if it's around where you live. If it is, you need to go and be a counter protester. We need to start pushing back. This is something we normally don't do. All they ever argue about is January 6th, the J6ers, how, 36 out of over 1,000 people were violent that day that actually had conflict with the police officers. Everybody else was just there. But that's all they can talk about. You know why? Because we don't usually protest. We'll do our little car caravans and blow our horns, do the boat parade, stuff like that. But we're not there right on the front lines, locking heads with those protesters who are 90% are not organic protesters. They are paid protesters. So we got to push back. They got to know that the days of just out there spouting this trash without anybody coming in and counter arguing their points, debating them in real time, fact checking in real time, show them to be the idiots that they truly are. And if they want to get violent, be prepared. They think they're the only ones that can be violent. Now, the news will tell you that we're violent as hell. But they can't bring up any particular instances of this is happening. They always say, white supremacy is on the rise. The right is violent. Threats are being made everywhere. Show the receipts. Show this to be happening. Now, when they talk about the left doing it, there's so much evidence out there just in video alone that they can never argue against that ever again because they're just dumbasses. They like doing all this shit in front of cameras. But so be it. But we got to push back. If a protest happens, now, see, and this is one thing with the right. We usually get up, go to work, raise a family, and hope that the government, we vote our conscience and hope that the people that we vote in the government is going to do what we ask them to do. But we can't trust that to be the truth anymore. President Trump is trying. Elon Musk is trying. But I feel like they need our help. And I ain't kidding. We voted them in there, but look at the opposition they're up against. Look at that machine. That Democratic machine that they're up against. The deep state that they're up against. All this money laundering departments that Elon Musk is finding. All these instances of huge amount of money just going somewhere where it don't make sense where it's going. So it's time to push back, people. It's time to, when they have scheduled protests, and be well aware that a lot of them are just paid to be there, but there's those few, those crazies who drink the Kool-Aid. So you got to be prepared. You got to be willing. So if you're not physically capable of actually having a physical interaction with somebody else, stay back. Let the people who are willing to stand on the front line do their job. I myself would be one of those people that's on the front line to do my job, because we got to show them they've poked the bear. It's time to poke back. So if you've got a protest coming to your town somewhere near you, and you're working and you got time that you can take time off, take a day if you've got vacation time or whatever, however your business or your company where you work for does it. Try to do that. That's the problem. We don't get out there and force because most of us are working. We don't have time to protest like these other idiots. But it's time to make time, people. It's time to squash this fake resistance. It's time to bitch slap these mothers back into the fucking reality, is what it is. So try to make a point to be there. Push back. They'll do it, whatever means necessary. So you know what we got to do? We got to push back with any means necessary. Now, depending on, now I'm not saying start something. I am not. If you can have a reasonable conversation with these people, that's fine. Do you think you're going to be able to? I don't. They're a cult. They call us a cult. Well, when you get called names anymore, don't try to defend your position anymore. Just look at them and go, okay, and now what? That's what I say anymore. When I get called a racist, I look at them and I say, okay, and now what? What? What are you going to do? What's the difference in the message that I'm telling you? Squash those titles that they try to put on us to make them meaningless, because they are. They're fake news. But like I was saying, depending on the state area that you live in, like in my state, I have constitutional carry. And I believe wholeheartedly in supporting the Second Amendment. So if you have that ability and you can have that capability of going to these protests, be peaceful, but don't take no shit. And carry if you can, because you don't know what they're going to do, because they're all trying to do this very same thing with the weapons deal. But they don't really know how to handle firearms, most of them. Some of them do. Some of them's been practicing. And I mean practice and practice and practice. You got to ask yourself why. Why all of a sudden these anti-gun people are buying guns and they're practicing and practicing and practicing? You know why. Be prepared. Don't shy away from these protests. You got to show President Trump and Elon Musk that there's just as strong a force out there. We're MAGA. We're not just Republicans. We're MAGA. MAGA makes it complete different. It's completely different. MAGA is who they need to be concerned with. But our president needs to know that we didn't just vote him in. We are also his army, because the Democrats have their army, and they're spending all of our tax money to put them armies out on the front line. You can bet your ass when these NGOs and these other think tank programs like Act Blue and all that money come from Democrats. It come from taxpayer It's all these slush funds and these NGOs. So we got to do our part. We got to stand up. We got to push back. I'm going to play a video later. I played it already on another live stream. I think it needs to be played as much as possible. It's a message from Paul Harvey. If those of you are old enough to know who Paul Harvey is, because at the end of his monologues, it's what they were, monologues, he'll tell you that's the rest of the story, because he tells you parts of history that you don't normally hear or read about. That's true and factual. But I'll play that in a few. I want to talk about some other things. Being new on this platform with Rumble, I don't know how to bring up multiple videos, so I'm going to leave my Paul Harvey video loaded to play later. But these others are videos that are going around too. Joy Reid, you want to talk about racist? Right there's an individual that's racist. She was just recently on the Don Lemon podcast. All these leftists are now trying to do their own podcast, and they're great entertainment value. And let me say that I watch them so you don't have to. I'm taking one for the team, because most of the stuff they talk about is so damn ridiculous. You want to talk to the television when you're watching it, but then you realize you could be right in front of them saying these same things, and it won't mean a thing. These are the 20% of people that say you can't change their minds no matter what. People like Joy Reid and Don Lemon are that 20%. So there's no sense in even trying to debate them on anything. But you have to listen to what they say, because they spread a message. They talk about we spread hate. They do nothing but spread hate, because they talking about resist any means necessary. I mean, they're setting Teslas on fire. They're shooting into these Teslas with firearms. They're keying them. They're literally digging their ass and taking the wads of shit out of their ass and smearing them on Teslas. That's the funny thing. Teslas are loaded with cameras. These idiots that do this in parking lots, like out in the parking lot of Walmart or someplace, a private owner car, and they do this kind of crap, and they act all shocked when they get busted. But these people who are setting these Teslas on fire at these dealerships, they're masked up. They're hooded up. Everybody talks about how these Teslas have cameras so they'll be able to see them do it. You can see them do it, but they're not getting caught because you can't identify them. You just can watch somebody setting a Tesla on fire. So if they ever catch them, then that's good evidence for court. How you doing, Papa? It's good to see you in the chat room. So, President Trump and Pam Bondi want to make these people who are setting these Teslas on fire and shooting into these dealerships and setting these charging stations on fire, label them domestic terrorists. You got district judge, these activists, these left-leaning activist judges, and they should not have the ability, because they're entry-level federal judges, they should not have the ability to stop the agenda of the President of the United States. But they're trying it. They're doing it for the moment. Congress needs to fix that, and they can, but we'll see if they got the will to do it. But anyways, they're trying to say that these ain't domestic terrorists. These just are people that are committing arson, as if that wasn't bad enough. But the thing is these attacks are politically motivated. They wouldn't be setting fire to these Teslas or these charging stations or drive by and shooting into these cars and these dealership windows. It's politically motivated. That makes it domestic terrorism. Do you remember when Merrick Garland labeled parents who speak up at school meetings domestic terrorists? Nobody pushed back on that. You didn't see no judges try to file injunctions to stop that from happening, did you? We we hollered about it, but we didn't do anything about it, because we're not that kind of people. We don't get out there and do these huge protests and everything. We make our voices heard through the people we vote in, and sometimes we are let down with that. But these attacks are politically motivated, so they do need to be labeled domestic terrorism. And what that does, it's a minimum of 5 years, up to 20 years, with no ability to have parole. These people need to have consequences. They need to know there is consequences, because I guarantee a lot of this bullshit will stop. Now, there are some people who are crazy and they're drunk the Kool-Aid. These are the people you can't debate, but these are the people you have to watch when they get around you, because they be willing to do very, very bad things to you. If you make yourself known to be a Trump supporter, you make yourself known that you're MAGA, you're going to have a fight on your hands, because they're the ones that spew hate. They're the ones that don't mind being physical. So be prepared. If you are willing to go out to these protests and be counter protesters to this silliness, go to these town hall meetings if they're having them in your town with your politicians. They're sending people into these meetings. It's ambushes. These people are not, it's not organic arguments. You hear them sitting up there arguing against Doge and all this other stuff, and you're thinking, well, this ain't the type of person that voted for Trump. Something's wrong here. These are leftist activists and sometimes paid actors coming in here trying to have an uproar in these town hall meetings, as if America is against what President Trump and Elon Musk are trying to do. Well, I know a lot of Trump voters, and none of us are regretting our vote, and we're not sitting up there arguing about them firing federal employees or closing down departments, finding waste, fraud, and abuse. Right now, they found up to $115 billion in this. Just right off the top, just these things they found quickly that they've skimmed the top of shit. $115 billion they've returned to the taxpayer into the budget of the United States. Why would anybody that voted for Trump go to these town hall meetings and argue against what he's doing? They wouldn't. So if you have the ability to go to a town hall meeting, when these people stand up and spew their bullshit, stand up and fire back at them. Throw some facts in their face, because they're given a script to complain about, and they're not letting these politicians talk, and these politicians feel ambushed because they are. Stand up, push back. They poked the bear. Now poke back. We've been silent for way too long. We stand on the sidelines thinking we've done our part because we voted. We voted right. But the problem is, the opposition is a large number of people in the government, out of the government, other countries. Now, when I play this video here in a minute about Paul Harvey, his message to us in 1965, 60 years ago, it's going to be disturbing to you if you've not seen it. Killer Carl, it's good to see you, my friend. Now you're hurting my feelings. What are you talking about? Oh, Tyler's been poking the bear's butthole. That sounds like Tyler. Those of y'all don't know who Tyler are. Killer Carl's in here, so I know if you watching me, you know Killer Carl. Every Saturday night free for all, 7:30. Killer Carl, me, and a lot of times Tyler, producer of John Frederick's radio conservative network. He's a funny guy. I think he's a closet uh, gay person, but we don't judge. Unlike the other side, they judge. We don't judge. Yeah, we'll take him for how he is. Tyler's in here too. Hey, Tyler. Why you want to fire me, Tyler? I was I was supporting you, my friend. Hey, you're starting to hurt my feelings, man. I was just sitting there supporting your way of life. I was saying I don't judge. And you want to fire me? Wait a minute. I can't be fired. I'm my own boss. So, snap. Let's get back to my point here. Thank you, Tyler. We got to push back. We got to show up to these protests. And I've said just in the last couple of live streams, your communities have these Facebook pages. If you're not part of them, join one of them. Start posting the desire to want to uh, get together in these and have community meetings for MAGA. You got to be MAGA and form neighborhood watches, and not for your neighborhood. I'm calling it that because if I call it anything else, I would probably be labeled something that's not true, and I'd have to defend myself. But I call it a neighborhood watch because here's what I'm asking you to do. If you have a Tesla dealership close to you, and you get together with a group of like-minded MAGA people, and I'm saying this should be men because you don't know what's going to pop off at these dealerships. Uh, I'm not saying confront anybody. These cameras are catching them doing it, but they're not catching them. They've caught like 3 people. They've got 5, but they got 3 for sure that they're filing charges against. Well, they've over a dozen Tesla dealerships have been firebombed within the last week. So start a neighborhood watch. Neighborhood watch. Go and talk to these people at the dealership and offer the ability to park somewhere in the parking lot of the dealership and do it in shifts and see if you can't catch these people in the act. I'm not saying confront them, but you can dial 911 real quick. And if they, and it's a shame that, see, I would confront because I would try to stop them before they actually set something on fire. They can still get in as much trouble because they're going to have all the paraphernalia of this crime in their possession. But I would try to stop them before the flame started. I'm not saying you should do that. Sometimes you just watch, but pull your phone out. I know the Teslas have cameras. Use your phone as a camera. Dial 911. Catch these people in the act. We got to. Sitting on the sidelines is over with, people. Over with. They say any means necessary. Look at Jasmine Crockett, that ignorant woman from Texas, that congresswoman. Her birthday's on March 29th. Her birthday present, she wants somebody out there to take Elon Musk down. That's what she wants for her birthday. This woman is sick, but this is the kind of people we're dealing with. It's time to push back. It's time to show our presence. Let's see what we got here in the chat. Yeah, you give me some, Tyler. I appreciate that, Tyler. You always give me a parking space. That's good. Carl, that's a good idea. Actually, it's not, it's not a bad idea. Take some mace with you. Take some of that bear spray. Because, like I say, they've poked the bear. It's time to poke back. So, if you can get some bear spray, if you can stop them by macing them in the face, go to Royal King or O'Reilly's or AutoZone and buy the big, thick zip ties. If you can take them down with some bear spray, get them down, zip tie their damn hands behind their back, and leave them and wait for the police. That's what the cops use, the zip ties. We can do the same thing. But I'm not suggesting that you do that. I am not. I'm suggesting watch. See something, say something. We got to help Elon Musk and President Trump. They got to know that the supporting role of us, or I don't know the best way to say it, we got to show them that the resistance is a small group compared to the people who are Trump supporters, who are MAGA. We approve of this agenda. We voted for this agenda. So they got to know that we're out there. They got to know our voices need to be heard. We're louder than the resistance. We're stronger in number than the resistance, because we would not be paid actors. We're not paid to go protest. We are there because we believe in the message. We believe in what they're trying to do to try to fix our government. And y'all know, just by the little bit you've seen, our government needs fixed. It surely does. It needs fixed. You got to do your part, all of us. Carl, I'm not suggesting that, but that's a good idea. And I'm not going to say that out loud because I am also simulcasting on YouTube today. If I was just on Rumble, I would repeat what you just said. So if anybody's interested in what I'm talking about, y'all just need to read the chat with Killer Carl there. It's not a bad idea, Carl. But did you see where Tampon Tim? That brings in another good subject there, Carl. Tampon Tim bragging, got the stock thing on an app on his phone so he can see what the Tesla stocks are doing. They're 225 and going down, and he's doing his spirit hand clap. He's so happy about that. His stocks are going down. He's so happy. His damn state's retirement fund, over $300 million, is tied into the Tesla stocks. That tells you how much of a freaking moron he is. And he's bragging that if he had a confrontation with a MAGA person, he could whoop their ass. I say, prove it, Tampon Tim. Show us. I'm on disability. Come whoop my ass. I don't think you can. Yeah. I'm calling you out, you piece of shit pussy. Oh, I appreciate that, Tyler. Tyler in the chat room is impressed that I'm even able to read. Because, most MAGA people are uneducated individuals. You can go through high school and get a diploma, but if you didn't go to college, you're still considered uneducated. About the most ridiculous shit I ever heard. And Tyler, you promote that kind of thing, so stop it. I can read, kinda. I am also dyslexic, Tyler. So, you're beating up on a person who has multiple disabilities, and you should be ashamed of yourself. But I'll give you a pass because you're kind or like that, and I don't judge. Let's get back to what I was talking about. I didn't really want to go too far into this today because this is my first time using Rumble Studio. Took a lot of coaching from people like Killer Carl to help me figure this out because Rumble is not an easy thing to figure out to get on here. But I'm here. I'm going to play a video, guys. This is on the Joe Rogan show, but they do the recording of Paul Harvey, April 3rd, 1965, 60 years ago. Now, when he does this little monologue, you do one thing. He uses the word Satan. You use the word globalist. That's all you got to do is change the word Satan to globalist. And his message is exactly what's happening right now today. So I'm going to try to play this. Be patient with me. I apologize if it takes me a second here. Let's see here. Read my chat real quick. Papa Bones, that's exactly what I'm saying. Depending on where you live, like where I live, I can do that. If you're going to go to these protests and you have the ability to strap up, do it. Because these people are crazy. Because not all of them are paid actors. Some of them drank the Kool-Aid. But right now, I'm going to play this video real quick. And we'll talk about it as soon as I get done playing it here.
America, the social fabric of America from the late 60s to today, and the timeline of the things that he said. It's pretty wicked. It's pretty powerful.
Wow. If I were the Prince of Darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have a third of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of the serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old, I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. Wow. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions. Just let those run wild. Wow. Until before you knew it, you'd have to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door.
Holy shit.
Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. And what'll you bet? I couldn't get whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich. I would caution against extremes in hard work, in patriotism, in moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. and thus I could undress you in public, and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing.
What year was that?
65.
Holy shit.
1965.
That's amazing. 65. Wow. April 3rd, 1965. Paul Harvey nailed it.
It's very disturbing, isn't it? But that describes what's been happening, not just in the last 4 years, but easily in the last 4 decades. Civil war is here. It's the new version of Civil War. This domestic terrorist shit going on at these dealerships. The swatting. Look how many conservative content creators and reporters have been swatted in the last week and a half. Over 30. You seen where they had Schroyer from Alex Jones's network walking backwards with his hands clamped behind his head in his underwear in his own house. Somebody swatted his house. They swatted him. The goal was to try to get him killed by the hands of the police. That's their goal. Their attempted assassination to these people. And when they find them, they need to charge them as such because this is politically motivated. These are domestic terrorists. They need to get that 20-year sentence without the opportunity of parole. Do you agree with me? Am I being too harsh? Is what I'm saying too difficult to hear? Are you willing to stand up, show up, push back, poke back, show them that we're MAGA? We're not a bunch of pussies like these Tim Walzes of the world. President Trump has to know that he has his own army out here, and we're stronger and larger in number than they realize. But we don't show it because we're not protesters. We're not out there trying to create problems. But that's needing to change because they're doing it with whatever means necessary. I say we need to do it as legal as possible, right up to the edge of any means necessary. Because we have to do it legally, because we can't say we're for the rule of law and then break the law. That's where they got us, because they're willing to do whatever it takes. And we need to follow the law. I say to this, follow the law as much as possible. But sometimes the right thing to do is not necessarily the legal thing to do. These people are activists. They're paid actors. So the crazies have drank the Kool-Aid. They call us a cult. I say we're not a cult. I say we're a fucking army. And they need to see what this army is capable of doing. So don't just sit on the sidelines and complain. It's time to do something, people. Now, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you it's time to stand up and be heard. Saying that, this is my first time doing this on the Rumble Studio. And I appreciate Killer Carl helping me get this far to even be able to do this. Now, I'm finding this program to be very slow, slower than the Restream that I have been using. But my Restream is no longer allowing me, for some reason, to do live stream on Rumble. I've got to look into that. I don't know what's happened to that, but that's another story. That's another day. Today, I've got my point across, I hope. If you think I'm being too harsh, if you think these conversations are too hard to hear, too hard to have, I might not be the person you want to watch because I'm doing Rumble only content starting next week. I'm going to still do things on YouTube, but most of my message will be on Rumble. So if you're on YouTube and you haven't followed me at the Empty Pockets podcast on Rumble, follow me because there's going to be content that you're not going to see because I can't do these things on YouTube. But I'm pissed. You need to know I'm pissed. You need to know how I really feel about stuff. You need to know. I have the need to let you know how I really feel about shit. On YouTube, I'm filtered. On Rumble, fucking gloves are off, people. And I feel the same way with these protests that are about to happen. We got to do our part. The neighborhood watches. But thanks for showing up. Saying that, guys. In case you don't know me, my name's James. Give me a follow. Give me a thumbs up. Helps on the algorithms. Killer Carl, thanks for stepping in, hanging out. Papa Jones, or Bones, sorry. And Tyler. I still like you, Tyler. I really do. You're a hard one to love, but I still like you. Guys, my name's James. So, till next time, I'm out of here.